I wanted to speak about that because everybody in the room has a Lazarus. It is that located part of your life where you thought God would. It could be a help that you expected emotionally. It could be a help that you expected relationally. It could be, what did his name mean? One whom God helps. And what did the sisters say when they sent for him? The one that you love. It is a direct contradiction of their expectation and an apparent contradiction of Christ's character. That because he loved them, and he didn't just love Martha, and he didn't just love Mary, he loved Lazarus. And I don't know if you've read the whole story before, but after he says Lazarus won't die, Lazarus dies. The Lazarus factor. It is that sometimes the exact opposite of what you thought God would do based on who you knew him to be happens in your life. And everybody has a Lazarus. Everybody wanted to play college baseball and tore their meniscus. I don't even know what a meniscus is, but I hear people say they tore it. Everybody has an ideal of what they thought a relationship would be until you discovered there were some things about them that did not show up on the third date or the fourth date or the fifth date or the sixth date or the seventh date. You didn't see those crazy eyes, did you? Until y'all shared a blender. Oh, when you start sharing stuff in a house, you find out. Now, I'm using trivial things here because if we think about it in too epic of a fashion, you won't allow yourself to locate your Lazarus. If we don't speak in a specific fashion about those little things that disappoint us, those little Lazarus, those little things that we bury, those little hopes that were crushed, those little dreams that were stripped of their meaning and potential, those little moments that were stolen by what people did or said, those little doors that were closed right when you were trying to walk through them. If we don't break it down specifically, you will keep it out here at a distance because that's what we always do to God when we are disappointed. We put him at a distance and we allow him to come no closer. And I'm going to show you in the text that that's exactly what the sisters did when they lost their Lazarus. What do you do when you lose your Lazarus? What do you do when God leaves you on red? What do you do when he listens to you pray but decides apparently to stay 2 days away until the messengers come and say, it's too late. Lazarus, the one you love, has been laid to rest. The Lazarus factor. And now Jesus has some explaining to do because he said he wouldn't die. And then he waited 2 days and then he died. I'm smiling not because the story is happy, but just because I know the outcome. You hear me? I'm smiling because I've only read up until verse 6 right here in front of you, but I read to verse 44 all week. As a matter of fact, I'm smiling about something that I read in verse 2. I'm going to show you this real quick. It says in verse 2, this Mary, whose brother Lazarus now lay sick, was the same one who poured perfume on the Lord and wiped his feet with her hair. Can I tell you something? That doesn't happen until chapter 12. It's a flash forward. Y'all been watching This Is Us? It's a flash forward. Is to let us know that even though Lazarus dies, his story does not, because this same Mary who is disappointed in chapter 11 is going to be worshiping in chapter 12. Now go ahead and make up your mind. I'm going to be worshiping in chapter 12. I'm going to be worshiping next Monday. I'm going to be worshiping no matter what happens in this deal, this dilemma, this trial. This saturation point is only going to serve to release greater glory. In my life, in my family, in my generation, in my bloodline, there will be glory. I declare it and decree it by the eyes of faith. Now, y'all sit down and listen to this story as it unfolds. Because at the end of the story, Mary is worshiping for what Jesus did. But first, before she can worship, she has to wait. And wait. And wait. Is he coming? Is he coming? Anybody heard anything? Is he coming? Communication was very primitive in John chapter 11. So we don't know if he's coming until the messenger gets back. How else would we know? But here comes the messenger, and Lazarus is close to the end, and you want to know, where is he? He's not coming. What do you mean he's not coming? He came when I cooked, but he didn't come when I cried. We feel this way, but we can't talk about it. My job is to say what you think so you don't think you're going to hell for thinking it. And this is kind of humorous too, okay? I love how God puts a little bit of humor for those of us who are slow. When Jesus got there, he said in verse 7, let's go back to Judea, because Bethany, this village where Lazarus was in the process of dying, is 2 miles from Jerusalem, where there was a price on Jesus' head. And the disciples contradict him. They're like, but Rabbi, a short while ago, the Jews there tried to stone you, and you're going back. You see what I mean? It would have been a horrible job to be Jesus' PR representative, chief of staff. You can't get him to do anything he does. It's almost like he's God and he won't be controlled or something like that. It's almost like faith is more mystery than it is manipulation. And Jesus answered, are there not 12 hours of daylight? Anyone who walks in the daytime will not stumble, for they see by this world's light. It is when a person walks at night that they stumble, for they have no light. That clears it up. Are we going to die or not? After he said this, he went on to tell them, our friend Lazarus has fallen asleep, but I am going there to wake him up. And his disciples replied, do your best, Forrest Gump voice, Lord, if he sleeps, he will get better. Jesus had been speaking of his death, but his disciples thought he meant natural sleep. Verse 14 is my verse. So he told them plainly, Lazarus is dead. Now there come some things in your life that you interpret at a surface level, and then God has to make it plain. He told them plainly. And not only he told them plainly, but he was about to reveal to them in a way that they would never forget an aspect of who he was that they had not yet seen. Of all of the 7 signs that John's gospel records, this is the most important. Minus Jesus' own resurrection, what is about to happen in Bethany, 2 miles from Jerusalem, tells us more about the character of Jesus Christ than all of the other signs combined. Because up until now, Jesus has been foreshadowing not only his death and resurrection, but his fulfillment of the law and the prophets. Now he's about to do something that he can only do, not if he is a good teacher, not if he is a rabbi, not if he is a human instructor, but what he is about to do, he can only do if he's God. And while I was preparing this message, God said to tell you what he's about to do in your life is something that he can only do, not if he's just a good teacher, not if he's just a historical figure, not if he's just a Santa Claus, but if he is God. And I mean a great big God. I mean the Word incarnate God. I mean the indestructible, incomprehensible, ever-living, ever-breathing God. I mean Yahweh, the great I am. I mean the healer, the provider. If he's that, he can do this. He said, I'm going to wake him up. They said, let him sleep. He's sick. And Jesus said, my God, you're bright. And the remedial lesson of faith happens in the action, not the explanation. Because verse 15 is kind of hard to understand. Because he said, for your sake, I am glad I was not there, so that you may. What did I tell you was the purpose of John's gospel? So that you may what? Feel amazing. So that you may get rich and famous. So that you may. The Lazarus factor is that everything that God allows you to lose can lead to a deeper belief in who he is. And I just want to know, did you ever lose something in your life only to know God better on the other side? And has there ever been a time where God used the thing that you would not have chosen to happen to change you in a way, and you would not give the change for anything, even though you did not choose the circumstances that caused it? I thought so. I thought when I was preparing, everybody has a Lazarus. Everybody has a disappointment. Everybody has a current expectation that we are processing. And Jesus shows up, not on time. I was going to say he's fashionably late, but he's actually functionally late. He's doing work. While they're waiting, he's working. They assume he's not there, but he is leaving a space that he intends to fill. He said, I'm glad I wasn't there, because sometimes my greatest lessons are taught in the spaces that you consider my absence. Sometimes your greatest faith is built in the absence of your feeling, and your greatest wisdom is built in the absence of your understanding. But let us go to him. Then Thomas, also known as Didymus, said to the rest of the disciples, let's go also, that we may die with him. Lots of faith with these 12 guys, right? These are the all-stars. These are the ones that he's going to entrust the gospel to go to the world. Great plan, Jesus. Well, on his arrival, I want to show you this in verse 17. Jesus found that Lazarus had already been in the tomb for 4 days. Now, Bethany was less than 2 miles from Jerusalem. I think I told you that already. And many Jews had come to Martha and Mary to comfort them in the loss of their brother, in the loss of Lazarus. And you will have people in times of loss that can support you to a certain level. But there is only so much that others can do. Quit being mad at people because they can't give you what only God has. And quit pushing people out of your life because they can't be everything to you. Only God can be everything to you. So they came to comfort, but they couldn't change the situation. So when they got there, I don't know who that was for, but I felt the Holy Spirit on that. And when Jesus got there, many Jews had come to comfort them. But when Martha heard, verse 20, that Jesus was coming, she went out to meet him. But Mary stayed home. We are seeing their personalities. Who you are is who you are. We are seeing Mary stay home because what am I going to do about it? We are seeing Martha meet Jesus at the gate of the village, because I'm not even sure if I want him to come back to my house. I'm not cooking nothing today. The kitchen is closed today. You can have DoorDash today. I hope you got Uber Eats, Peter, because I'm not feeding none of y'all today. And she met him, watch this, sobbing at the gate, weeping at the gate, mad at the gate. As Lazarus' hope went down and he eventually was dead and his body decomposed, according to the Jewish superstition, within 3 days, the breath could come back to the body and the process could be reversed. But now that hope is gone because it's the 4th day. Jesus shows up after there is a hope that resurrection can happen by natural spiritual customs. So Martha comes to the gate. Find time for you to show up. Thanks a lot for nothing, Jesus. Thanks a lot for your teaching, Jesus. Thanks a lot for being my God, Jesus. Thanks a lot. I prayed to you about my marriage and now it's over. Thanks a lot, God. I did everything I knew to do. She's saying stuff like this. But then she said a word in verse 21 that shifts the attention from what she has just lost to the possibility that exists in this moment still. And I want to pray that the Lord would give us through his word this same shift. In verse 21 where she says, Lord, Kurios, Lord, Martha said to Jesus, if you had been here. So she ain't saying nothing real worshipful, right? She's actually very mature to know that the presence of Jesus is an excellent place to process your disappointments. And if you don't learn how to process your disappointments in his presence, you'll process them somewhere else that is not safe. Or they will become toxic oxygen and you will choke on the lack of the compassion that he can give. So I think it's really beautiful. The Lazarus factor lets me know that I can let God know when I'm let down. You know, you never lost a battle except this one. You never lost a battle. You remember when I came over to the studio that day and we were playing around and I said, you never lost a battle. And I talked about what if we recorded that and we may do this remix for a Christmas version or something. If it gradually got more honest as you sang it. You've never lost a battle. You seldom lost a battle. Oh, come on. This is John chapter 11. Lazarus is dead. Yeah, but he's about to be resurrected. He dies again. He still dies. He just got resurrected for a little while. He's not still walking around. Everybody dies. He dies again. There's only one person who didn't die again. It's about to become plain in a minute, I promise you. What God is doing in this season of your life is about to become plain, but only if you get honest. Only if you get honest. If you had been here, my brother would not have died. But I know that, say the next two words out loud. Even now. It would be one thing for you to stay in the past. It would be another thing for you to look to the future. But there is power in the now. There is power in the presence of God. There is power in an honest confession of faith that I don't understand this turn of events, but I know that even now, God will give you whatever you ask. I know that possibility stands before me. When? Now. I know that potential for healing is before me. When? Why aren't y'all here with me? I thought I was in front of some people who have lost some Lazarus in your life and lost some time and maybe even lost some opportunity and maybe even lost some hope and maybe even lost some optimism. But I declare now in the name of Jesus, even now God can do it. Even now God can break it. Even now God can fulfill it. Hey, thank you for watching. Make sure you subscribe to this channel so you don't miss a single video or live stream, and share this video with a friend. And don't forget, you can join me live every Sunday. Thanks again for watching.